You're watching Ulti-World's coverage of the D3 College Championships from beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got the men's semifinal for you between the Middlebury Pranksters and Oklahoma Christian Eagles. I'm Theo Wan here with Mike Ball. Mike, this is the matchup many people were looking forward to, the men's semifinal. OC, Middlebury, tell us how they got there.
Yeah, both teams have been dominant all weekend, both with 4-0 records, taking care of business in pool play, earning themselves a bye to their quarterfinal round, which they just finished. Oklahoma Christian with a comfortable dismantling of Grace, and Middlebury doing the same to Oberlin. Both these teams have not messed around. They have done everything necessary to get to this point, and their eyes have been on each other whether they want to admit it or not. This is a rematch of the national championship game in the fall. Both teams are keyed up and ready to go, and this is going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, as we look to both teams here and get a shot at Oklahoma Christian first, why don't you talk about some players to watch for them and then move on to the Pranksters of Middlebury?
Yeah, first I want to address what we're seeing on the screen here. You're kind of seeing the dichotomy of these two teams, yeah? Oklahoma Christian is all business. They are trying to legitimize the sport and their program as much as possible. Everybody knows about their scholarship program and what they're doing there. They are all business. Middlebury, on the other hand, embody their team name, the Pranksters. These guys are as goofy and as silly as it comes. They keep it incredibly loose, incredibly fun. That's where they draw their energy and fire from, whereas Oklahoma Christian draws it from really intense, narrowed-in focus. As far as the players on both teams, start with Oklahoma Christian. They're led by Elliot Moore on their offense. Elliot is their center handler. He's going to lead the team in touches and really command the pace and feel of their O-line. Working with him on that group is going to be Jonathan Costello. Jonathan Costello, big cutter, very experienced player. Excellent compliment to Elliot Moore. Looking at the Middlebury offense, they are driven by Walker Frankenberg. Walker Frankenberg was our Offensive Player of the Year. He's going to be number 2 on the line there. He's number 4 on his jersey. Frankenberg is basically as valuable of a handler as you can find in the division. He goes every other throw. He's an atypical handler where he doesn't necessarily win games with his throws, but more so with his legs just from the handler space. He's incredibly athletic, incredibly quick, lightning fast first step. If Oklahoma Christian are going to have success in this game against Middlebury, it's going to start with finding a way to slow down Frankenberg.
Thank you for that, Mike. And we got lots of fans out here. We got your PA music pumping as well. I am excited for this matchup. OC Eagles starting out on defense in the white tank tops against Middlebury in their traditional pink jerseys.
Yeah, and this starting D-line here for Oklahoma Christian is a very young group. They're piloted by number 57, Sam Roberts. Sam Roberts will do a lot of the work for them after a turn. He will kind of carry this group, looking to boost it deep to his athletic group of cutters. It's going to be interesting to see as the game goes on, how much can they rely on the freshman Roberts to drive break opportunities for them? How much are they going to have to bring over people from their O-line? They've taken care of business and minimized the workload on their team this weekend, so they have the legs to do it. It'll just be a matter of how long Coach Garrett Taylor chooses to trust this core group before bringing over people from his offense.
That's a good point as well, because we did a game earlier today where a team had to go through the pre-quarter round. So both teams only having playing one game so far. That should ease up the legs and allow the big guns to play throughout this game.
Yeah, and both these teams just finished their last round within an hour ago. They had their quarterfinal round right before this round. So both teams are warmed up, revved up, ready to go. It was their only game of the day, so they should still have plenty of energy in the tank. No excuses for either one of them. This should be a barn burner of a game. It's almost like they're keeping us like suspension here, like trying to build up the excitement even more. I'm not sure what the holdup is, but both sidelines are bobbing up and down and ready to go. And here we go, Emmanuel Kamari with the pull.
Middlebury, as I mentioned, in the pink garb, going to be on offense first.
Let's go! Let's go, pink!
Come on, horizontal stack. Underneath the Hanscom.
Hanscom was their leading goal scorer in the championship game against OC in the fall. Look for him to be heavily involved once again tonight.
Middlebury center of the field now. Thought about the give, go instead, go to the break side. Atkins. Good movement so far from the Pranksters here in this first offensive point. Andrew good.
Look at the tempo at which they move. It's almost like dancing with how rhythmic they are. Every progression is in rhythm, on point. every pivot, every fake, and you see it pay off there as Walker Frankenberg finds his favorite target, Max Hanscom, for the first hold of the game.
Mike, it doesn't get easier than that, it feels like. OC didn't really offer much resistance there in that first point in the semifinal.
Yeah, not even really a risky pass attempted at that point. Not even really anything for Middlebury to worry about. That's a dream start for them and not ideal for OC. We'll see how long Coach Taylor stays with that group. They were not able to generate much pressure on that point.
Yeah, they were able to battle through some adversity. Was OC yesterday taking down Barry, who we streamed earlier. So that double game point victory, got to keep them excited or give them some good mojo heading into today.
Yeah, one edge that OC has over Middlebury from their journey this weekend is that game over Barry, where OC is battle tested a little bit, where Middlebury hasn't really been tested this weekend. All of their wins have been comfortable, whereas OC had to battle back from 2 breaks down in the second half. That's not to say that Middlebury wouldn't be capable of doing such a thing, just that we've seen Oklahoma Christian do it so far this weekend.
Solo Fernandez, a big-time player for Middlebury, ready to pull. Get a first look at OC's offensive line led by the young Elliott Moore.
Silva Fernandez was our defensive player of the year in the fall. It's going to be interesting to see how Middlebury choose to utilize him, which player on the OC offense they choose to use him to try and take away.
Little zone look here from Middlebury. The Pranksters trying to gummy up some of the offense here from the Eagles.
It's a very flat front 3 from Middlebury, just trying to force negative and lateral movement right now from OC. OC kind of feeling it out, figuring out where the spaces are, where the soft spots of this zone are.
Costello now, one of Mike Ball's players to watch, had the disc now. Give it back to Bololo.
You know, I watched Oklahoma Christian in their quarterfinal round, last round, and they played against Grace, the upstarts from the Great Lakes. Grace's success this weekend, as we see a scuba from Elliott Moore finding Costello. But Grace's success this weekend was based on their zone and their zone stymieing teams. And Oklahoma Christian took a few points to feel it out, but once they figured it out, they shredded through that zone with comfort. And I talked to their coach afterwards, Coach Taylor, and he told me that, you know, every zone is its own unique puzzle to try and figure out. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer to figure out some puzzles than others, but he's confident in his guys to find that formula, and you can kind of see them feeling this zone out right now.
Yeah, a couple scoobers there from Elliott Moore ready for OC. Their offense is not rushed at all. They're very patient, and it seems like they've dealt with some zones throughout the year. And it'll be interesting, Mike, to see if Middlebury decides to use this look throughout the game. And that is a drop, so it does generate a turnover. There you go.
Very nonchalant with the scuba there for Moore, and it just bounces off Bololo's hands as we see the hut go up.
There it is for Middlebury. Dahl sails the throw too high, and they get it back. That's Cade Sherman, the freshman from Norman, Oklahoma, with the block.
Excellent block there from Sherman, someone who wasn't involved at all really in the zone offense leading up to that point, but stays locked in and ready to help out his team getting the disc back for the Eagles offense.
See if Moore here is a little bit more sure with the disc. Probably see some more scoobers coming out, but maybe not as nonchalant as the last one there.
Yeah, you were talking about their patience right before that turnover, a little bit of the commentator's curse there, but the captain for Grace, Ben Close, I asked him what made OC's attack of their zone different than the rest of the teams they'd faced this weekend, and he complimented their patience and how willing they were to just swing the disc back and forth until the opportunity arose to struck. And we'll see if OC can exhibit that same patience here today in this semifinal matchup.
You did mention at the top that Elliott Moore is going to get a lot of touches. We're seeing it already. He's definitely a do-it-all player for them, playing for the club team double wide out of Austin. So got that club experience as well, even though he's just a freshman.
Yeah, and I'm curious about how the pace of this game is going to play out. If we see these long, steady, easy O points for OC, it's going to make it a lot easier for them to cross over their key players to defense because they're not using as much energy to beat this zone as they would be working against a matchup defense. So this is working to slow down the OC attack, but that's the other side of this double-edged sword for Middlebury to consider. Still a long time to see it play out, just something that would be in the back of my mind if I were Middlebury trying to decide how to attack this game.
That's why we have Mike Ball in the booth, folks, bringing in that coaching wisdom. We're going to ask more of it later. And it generates another drop, so Middlebury knows what they're doing here, Mike. They've drawn it up.
Bololo involved in both turnovers so far for OC. We'll see if he can steady himself and play with a little more consistently. We see Jory Dahl here needing a reset. Solo Fernandez, what a cut there.
And Bololo gets it back for OC, so you had 2 turnovers, you atoned it with 1, and more looking to pump, decides to look it off instead, settles for a reset, and maybe we're going to get that slower pace of play again.
You got half of Middlebury playing that zone right now, and the other half matching up. We'll see if they get on the same page, which one they go with, and it looks like the zone.
Bololo playing catch a little bit with Max Hamilton there.
You know, it's exciting to see this zone look from Middlebury because in their matchup in the fall, Middlebury ran nothing but matchup force flick for the entire game. I commented on it then. It was infuriating to watch that they didn't change things up at all. So it's refreshing to see them try a different look here and bring an arsenal of defenses to try out against this OC offense.
Learning from your mistakes, that's always a good human thing, and
That's right.
it sounds like the coaches are doing that as well. Moore fakes the hammer. Don't know if he's going to throw that one right now. And instead, high release foot gets blocked, and Middlebury gets another break opportunity. That's Max Rogers, the freshman from Seattle.
Excellent block from the freshman there, and you see there's several freshmen on this Middlebury D-line. Jory Dahl is a freshman. As you see, Rogers patiently working the disc there.
Medeiros looking for options, does find Rogers. Solo Fernandez. Middlebury coming on that vertical stack. Solo Fernandez is at a high stall, goes inside. And it looked like he missed time, but comes down with it.
Grab.
Is DeMeo. And calls a timeout after that great catch to save the point. The inside throw from Solo Fernandez. So you're seeing the different pace of play here, Mike, because Middlebury playing a little faster, a little flashier, it seems like, whereas OC trying to go with that patient zone offense.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that flashy is desired by Middlebury so far. I mean, that one right there was a high-style bailout. Solo Fernandez didn't have much action going for him downfield, forced to put up that look. As you see, that's the first turnover there for Oklahoma Christian against the zone. We'll see the second one here. Just a miscommunication. Cook trying to dump it off to Bololo, although he gets it back right here with a nice block. And then you'll see the hand block coming up here. Moore, maybe a victim of his own fakes. You saw him fake the hammer right before that and kind of prep the mark to get his hands up. Excellent block there from Rogers. And you see DeMeo, excellent bid to save possession here. And this Oklahoma Christian O-line in the fall game only turned the disc over 2 times in the entire game. They've already turned it over 3 times here just on this first point. Totally different feel and vibe to this game from the one in the fall where OC felt inevitable in terms of their offense just continuing to score. Middlebury already showing that they are more vulnerable this spring season.
Music, the Oregon music, they're trying to get the fans fired up. Hopefully you're fired up as well at home or wherever you're watching. Maybe you're sitting on your porch on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. At least it is here in Milwaukee, so we'll say that. A good timeout call there, it looks like, because they're trying to get that first break and that momentum. We'll see what happens here. Tip disc, can't come down with it, so OC now, are they going to move fast?
Yeah, Bololo rushes to pick it up to fast break, and he boosts it to Costello. Beautiful throw in the wind. And Costello is able to jump it in, and that is just a nightmare for Middlebury. First throw turnover out of the timeout, and they end up giving up the hold.
As they say, that is definitely not how you draw it up. You do not want to draw up a first throw turnover than that. So OC gets the momentum back. I'm curious now, Mike, to see who jumps out on the defensive line as we see the replay here, just a little bit too far there.
Yeah, in the first throw, you know, he was going to have to extend to catch that disc, but it still hit him square in the hands. You feel like he should come down with that. And you see Bololo atoning for earlier errors in the point. He keeps his head locked in, keeps his focus locked in, and comes up with the assist to get the hold. Maybe not how OC drew up their first O point going, but they are able to get the hold, no harm, no foul. And now we'll see if this OCD line can apply a little bit more pressure than they did in their first point of the game.
Trey Fankenberg able to get that first assist for the Pranksters. They're back out there. They've had some time to think about things. That could also be a double-edged sword there with your offensive line sitting for a bit.
Yeah, not much of a rhythm established for them so far, but the way they came out cold and ran that first point, they have to be feeling pretty confident going into this one here. Same group, I believe, as the last time.
Mary pulling again here for the Eagles. Those are the backhander.
Much better pull than his last one. Came up a little bit short.
And they're going to send it to Atkins. Coming on a horizontal stack here are the Pranksters.
Starting Frankenberg downfield, an interesting look.
Frankenberg continues it right away. As we see Atkins bursting up line. Sails over a couple people. Hanscom picks it up. Frankenberg finds Atkins for the score. So a smooth 0 point for Middlebury. Mike's taking a breath in the booth. That was some exciting offensive point right there. And celebration from Atkins and the rest of the Pranksters.
Yeah, we see Atkins lose a fight with the corner flag there. Pretty hilarious celebration. Trey Atkins, my goodness, that young man took off running on that point and never stopped. Throws to Walker Frankenberg on the first cut. Takes off running from there. Sails over his head, but the young man keeps going and is wide open. And you see Walker Frankenberg, 2 0 points, 2 assists for Frankenberg. And, you know, a little bit fortunate there for Middlebury, but what's the saying? Fortune favors the bold, and they were aggressive and attacking on that 0 point, and that's 2 straight clean holds for the Middlebury offense.
Yeah, throughout this broadcast, Mike, I need you just to continue to drop some more wisdom. You did say trust the process in the first game with Barry. So maybe you're going to give us some more words of wisdom here today.
See how many more cliches I can muster. That's what we'll go for here.
120%. That's what they got to give on the field. That's one.
All right, so we saw Middlebury come down with the zone look on the first point. A little bit of a different group out here personnel-wise. We'll see if this is still that same zone look or if they have a different defense that they're going to attack with here. As you see Tobin Graff with the pull.
OC, similar looking O-line here, and they get it to their star freshman, Elliot Moore.
Moore with the disc. Not much movement for him downfield, a lot of stagnation. You know, OC's trying, they're still, you know, second point against the zone. They're still in a data gathering stage where they need to be swinging the disc and moving it as much as possible to see how Middlebury are moving and shifting. Being stagnant and looking for more to kind of throw through it isn't going to give them any information for how they can find a reliable method to break through it. See the scuba over the top there, caught by Hamilton.
Yeah, it seems like Moore definitely favoring those over-the-top throws right now. Trying to dissect this Middlebury zone that's definitely gumming up and stymieing this OC offense, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, and OC is only about 20 yards out from the end zone here, and Middlebury's staying in that zone. You see a high release, absolutely filthy throw from Moore over the top to Jonathan Costello, and that is a much, much better hold than their last attempt.
This is what we really expected, the going back and forth with the holds. As you mentioned, OC only having those very few turnovers in the final. You're expecting them to clean it up, and you're seeing it right there.
Yeah, they only had 2 turnovers in the fall final, had 3 on the first point. There were only 2 breaks in the whole game in the fall final. Both breaks, Middlebury's O-line getting broken. So it was an incredibly clean game then, and expected a high-scoring shootout affair here as well.
And so with the semifinal round, more crowd, do you think that plays into either team's favor, or it's kind of here nor there for either team?
Yeah, the crowd is going to favor Middlebury for sure. I mean, Oklahoma Christian have a, let's say, mixed, there's a mixed opinion out there on Oklahoma Christian. A lot of people are fans of what they're doing with the scholarship program, and others kind of resent them for it. But they're a polarizing figure in the division, whereas Middlebury have a people's champ feel of sorts, where they're kind of the relatable group that, you know, other programs can more identify with. And so the crowd early on is very much in Middlebury's favor, and we'll see if that has an impact on the game going forward.
I mean, the name Pranksters, the jerseys, that all plays into being the people's, the champion or the people's team there. Atkins slashing across the field. He's already been involved early in this offense for Middlebury. Stripped out of the hands of Frankenberg. That's going to go back.
Yeah, marking Frankenberg here is Thomas Maguire. Kind of an interesting case here with Thomas Maguire. He's a 22-year-old sophomore, transferred from Messiah, a D3 school in the Ohio Valley, and supposedly played some professional basketball overseas before picking up Ultimate. As you see, the disc slide right through the hands of Ben Morris And now the Oklahoma Christian D-line has their first break opportunity of the game. And Roberts boosts it right away to Maguire. Frankenberg tracking.
Maguire comes down with it. And OC on the doorstep right now of the break. You mentioned Maguire.
Yeah.
And it's picked up. We'll see the observer ruling here.
Up down should be an active ruling from the observer. And he had an excellent view of the play.
I'm held in bated breath right here, Mike. I know you are as well. An observer's going to discuss it. Want to make sure they get the call right here in the semifinal.
Players wait for the check. Players wait for the check.
To see the replay here. Oh, and of course, we've got a Middlebury player blocking our angle of it. But there didn't seem to be too much of a fight from the OC team on the ruling from the observer. And we'll see if the Middlebury offense.
Atkins bursting deep. And so they identify the poach and find someone underneath. Frankenberg bobbing up and down. Gets away the layout and said, picks a big huck to Hanscom. There it is for Middlebury. A pretty flick from Frankenberg. He's been involved in all the points so far for Middlebury, and they're flowing here on offense. 3-2 the score.
One of the most productive players in the division. Frankenberg stuffs the stat sheet, and as you mentioned, he's got all 3 assists so far in this game, and that's Hanscom's second goal of this game. And you know, there was a close throw here on Frankenberg getting that under. You saw Maguire with the bid, and Maguire came inches from getting that block. You'll see it here. But missing that block meant that Frankenberg was unmarked for the throw, and he's able to put it on a platter for Hanscom for the easy hold.
So now, Coach Mike Ball, what do you tell your defender there? Do you want them to bid and make that play, or would you rather just have them set a quick mark so that Frankenberg can't get away that throw?
I love the bid there. So especially against a high-powered offense like Middlebury's, you can't just play on your heels and play contain and hope that they're going to give you the disc. They're not going to give you the disc. As a defender, all you can ask for is a chance, right? One of my favorite, this is really diving down the coach tunnel rabbit hole here, but Lou Burris has a write-up about defensive mentality, and he talks about that as a defender, all you can ask for is a chance, and that a defender's mentality should be similar to that of a striker in soccer, where soccer strikers, all they want is a glance at goal. All they want is a shot on target and getting that chance at it. And the more chances you get, the more likely you are to get it. So when Maguire sees that window of opportunity to try and get a block on Frankenberg, he has to go for it and be confident about it every time and hope that with enough chances he will get that crucial block that swings the game.
Looks like person defense here from Middlebury with a handler poaching off, and Moore guarded by Silvo Fernandez. Moore's going to look deep. Ooh. And tripping in the area are a couple players there, Bololo being one of them, along with Kai Hoadley.
Turnover either way. It looks like both players are okay. Glad to see. And you see Middlebury changing the pace of the game by switching to that matchup defense. And right away, OC get excited. Moore fires the huck, and now they get a chance at another chance at a break. Their 4th look of the game. Let's see if they can punch this one in.
Already doubling up the amount they had in the fall, so not the same narrative for sure. It's a different game, of course, and a few different personnel added and subtracted. Up the line.
That's Ethan Lavelli for the defense of the Middlebury Pranksters right now. Excellent inside shot. And what I love about this Middlebury D-line offense right now is how little Silvo Fernandez is involved. In seasons past, he has been almost a necessary part of any. Oh, and as we say that,
maybe they should have gave it to him, is what you're saying. Big drop there. Bololo grabs the undercut. Scanning the field. Or tries to go up line and gets taken up by Silvo Fernandez.
And we see the backhand force here on the matchup defense. We talked about it as Bololo puts it up to Elliot Moore. Silvo Fernandez, and Moore is able to time his jump better and roof Silvo Fernandez for the hold. What a perfect throw from Bololo, and my goodness, what a grab from Elliot Moore.
The Austin, Texas product with the grab, and OC tying it up, Mike. So the change of pace did work for a time, but OC able to get back.
Well, and I think that Middlebury probably still considers that a win for their defense, that they put up a contested away shot. It took an inch-perfect throw here from Bololo to complete that huck to Moore. You know, if it's another foot further left, Silva Fernandez D's it. If it hangs a little bit longer, there was a help side defender coming in on the play. They're forcing OC to hit difficult away shots, and I love the difference in how they're approaching this game versus the fall, where I mentioned it earlier. In the fall, it was nothing but matchup force flick. We've already seen a zone look and matchup backhand from Middlebury in this game. They're going to try everything against this Oklahoma Christian offense, and they're going to find the right formula that's going to pay off for them at some point.
As we see OC back on defense here, 3-all the score. Kamari to pull it for the Eagles.
What a pull here, my goodness, ridiculous hang time.
Yeah, lots of hang time there. Allows our defense to set. Looking for Frankenberg. They're able to make that grab.
Excellent reset defense from Maguire, but Frankenberg shakes him. He's unmarked for a moment, unable to get it off.
Don't want to leave him unmarked, Mike, that's for sure. So able to set the mark was Maguire, and there's going to be a call, maybe disk space or something, it looks like.
Can I call disk space?
Okay. I'm agreeing. You're agreeing? Coming in on one. Violation coming in on one.
Good spirit there from Maguire agreeing to the disk space call. He plays a very physical style of defense, not dirty or anything like that. Just uses his body on his matchup, lets his matchup know that he's there, and he's going to give Frankenberg everything he can handle in this game.
Yeah, we'll see how many people actually draw that Frankenberg matchup as well, see what OC does as they're knocking on the door of a hold here. Frankenberg really working on Maguire. They do switch off. Frankenberg adjusts and gets the score, or throws the score, excuse me, for Middlebury. So good adjusting on that switch downfield from the handler defenders.
Yeah, and this is going to shock you, but Walker Frankenberg throws another assist. He's now 4 for 4, having thrown all 4 of Middlebury's holds. And we've seen them all in a little bit of a different way, where that one was really patient work in the handler space, navigating those switches from the OC defenders. You know, Sammy Roberts does a good job there of rolling with Maguire and making that switch. But the problem is that he tries to absorb the switch, right? He opens up his hips and waits for Frankenberg to strike and engage with him. So instead, Frankenberg just backpedals, and now he's left undefended. When you make that switch, when you roll there, you have to initiate contact with the person you're rolling onto. As you see Frankenberg's 4 assist totals already. When you make that switch and when you roll, you have to step to the person you're rolling to engage with them to make sure that they can't just float into that in-between space between the person leaving them and the person picking them up.
So now Middlebury's defense, we've seen a couple different sets right now. We did mention the match defense. They had the handler defender on the open side really poaching that lane. We'll see what they do on this point here.
Yeah, we've seen the flat front 3 zone look, and we've seen the matchup backhand. Let's see if they can complete the Holy Trinity and go with matchup flick here and complete the trifecta of looks.
Yeah, maybe the Holy Trinity of Frisbee there, the different D looks out here. As we see a side stack coming on, Bololo isolated, gets a huge chunk of yards. Looking for Costello, and he can't turn throw behind him. Probably not what Bololo wanted on that one.
Yeah, Bololo's 3rd turnover of the game, and that one just missing a completely open target. And Costello's got a wide catch radius too. Missing him, that's a difficult task. But Middlebury are 0 for 4 on their break chances so far. This is their 5th one. Let's see if they can convert this opportunity.
Bololo tried to get it back with a layout block, but now out of position.
Oh.
Solo Fernandez working with Spire.
And we talked last point about how uninvolved Solo Fernandez was as he's got a deep cut going.
Drew 2 defenders there, and instead they settled for the under, and they're still able to work it up.
But what I was saying was we saw how uninvolved Silva Fernandez was on their last D-line possession. He is going every other this time, determined to have his say on whether or not they break here.
Goes to the lefty backhand over the top, able to get it. Maybe they heard you from the booth there. Maybe they're mic'd up, or you're mic'd up down there in the Middlebury sideline. They said, we need to get Leo Solo Fernandez involved.
Yeah, they got someone with the stream going on their sideline, I'm sure.
I mean, it's one way to watch the game. You watch it in two different ways, live and on the stream here. Got an open cutter. There it is. Lucas Nurbani with the grab, and that's a break for the Pranksters. They're fired up. It's 5-3.
Amazing work there from Sovo Fernandez to keep the disc moving, to keep the possession alive. Multiple tight resets, multiple difficult grabs. He's not going to show up on the stat sheet for that break. It's going to go down as you know, coming from Nigerian. But he did all of the difficult work on that point. He made all the difficult resets that set his teammates up to succeed. As we see, just the missed throw from Bololo to the wide open Costello. You see Nigerian here, just really, really intentional with that throw. You saw him step out, make sure to get lots of snap. It is going into the upwind direction. And Middlebury finally convert. 5th time was the charm. They're able to punch in their break, and this could not look more different from this matchup in the fall. Middlebury get the first break after getting no breaks. Middlebury are the ones throwing different defensive looks and creating break opportunities. And Oklahoma Christian are the ones just making unforced errors, making mistakes, and giving Middlebury these chances.
So if you're OC right now, do you have to make changes, or you're just going to go with what's the norm here?
You know, I don't know him as a player to know how he needs to be handled. The only thing I would consider is maybe giving Bololo a point off to kind of center himself. But he might be the kind of player that just needs to play through his mistakes, and Garrett Taylor's going to know that about his personnel. But you don't want to change too much, just maybe have a breath, have a huddle on the line to just remind you guys to play confident and play assured, because they know what they're doing. They're creating good looks for themselves. They're just dropping and throwing the disc away. But we do see some different personnel here, with Sammy Roberts crossing over, allowing Elliott Moore to start downfield. And matching that crossover is Frankenberg coming over for a D point.
So I do expect, and I think you do as well, Mike, a lot of O-line players crossing over. We're seeing it early now, trying to maybe get that second break in a row here. Saw Elliott Moore start downfield, and now the vertical offense really stagnant here for OC, and that generates a block. Handlers starting a little late there in terms of the reset.
Yeah, and cutting into a tight window, and now Walker Frankenberg is on the field to try and convert this break opportunity. We've seen him throw a goal every point he's been on the field. Let's see if he continues it here.
Yeah, if this continues, you know, you have that highlight where it's just the counter of assists for Mr. Frankenberg.
That's right.
He's turning up right now, and him and Sovo Fernandez just working isolated like this in the handler space near the end zone. This is going to be very dangerous for Middlebury. Instead, they look around, and it gets knocked away. Big block there from Roberts.
Sammy Roberts fired up with himself for that point block. The young freshman coming up with the big stop on Middlebury star Sovo Fernandez, and now OC have the disc back with another chance to get their hold.
Bololo going deep here. It's going to be short of the end zone, it looks like. Just right there for OC. They reset to Costello. Roberts going up line, instead gets the reset.
Really strong, decisive cutting there from Roberts. Jams it into Moore's stomach, who finds Hamilton on the continuation. And OC are able to get the disc back. They were in dire straits. Their backs against the ropes. Middlebury had a strong hybrid D-line on the field with the disc about 25 yards out. But the freshman, Sammy Roberts, comes up big, gets the point block, saves possession for OC, and they are able to punch in the hold. So we'll see the point block here.
Yeah, from Connecticut all the way to Oklahoma City with the Eagles, making plays is the freshman Sammy Roberts. And like you said, backs against the wall. We'll use another sports cliche for you. Backs against the wall. Obviously wouldn't have been the game or anything like that, but going down 6-3 is tough, especially giving 2 breaks in a row. Now it's 5-4. OC feeling in good shape now.
Yeah, and OC taking a timeout after that point, just using this opportunity to collect themselves. And you see Elliott Moore, high level of production already for the Eagles. But I want to go back to talking about Sammy Roberts. The Oklahoma Christian coaching staff and captains are incredibly high on Sammy Roberts. They think he is a crucial part of their success and someone who's a game changer for them. And they actually feel as if he's been snubbed for U20 teams and isn't getting the recognition nationally that he deserves. And he's been phenomenal for them all weekend, creating multiple breaks, not by himself, but as the driving force of that D-line, and doing a lot of heavy lifting for them, and then crossing over when they need him on offense like we saw in that last point. And he comes up big, getting that block on Sovo Fernandez, I would expect him to make another play or two that really impact this game before it's all said and done.
One of our highlighted players for sure, and OC now, their defensive line, Sammy Roberts holding the disc right now. Does he go by Sammy Roberts, or is it just Sam? I see Samuel on our sheet, but want to make sure I have the jurisdiction to call him by that nickname,
You know, I might be speaking out of turn because I've heard him called multiple different names before, so we'll stick with Sam Roberts. How about that? We'll just go with the shortest one for now. Now, it appears that this timeout from Oklahoma Christian was used to buy a little bit of rest for some key O-line players to be able to get them on for this defensive point. We see Elliott Moore is crossing over. We see Jonathan Costello is crossing over. And we see Roberts playing his second straight point after crossing over for that O point. So a strategic timeout from Coach Taylor to buy a little bit of extra rest for his players, make sure they're ready to go there, and he's going to go aggressive here, trying to get their break back before halftime.
And you talked about the fans and who they might be in favor of. So getting a couple of breaks for OC can help silence that crowd. It's almost like you're in a road game, really, with the Pranksters audience. I know the women's team is here as well, cheering them on.
You see Frankenberg starting as center handler. We've seen him start from a few different places as the disc moves quickly to Landrigan downfield.
Landrigan looking for Atkins, who's trying to swim free. Looks like he might have been fouled, was Atkins, by Maguire. There's some physical defense, as you mentioned, from Maguire.
Yeah, and Maguire, you know, started using his body there, but as Atkins started to slide by him, you saw the arms extended and catching Atkins on that cut. It looked like a foul to me. Let's hear what the observers say.
I'm going to tuck my arms back. I don't know where you want me to put them. They're going to say tuck. I get what you're saying now. I'll watch it. Yeah, it just felt to me like your hands. I get it. A little bit.
Okay, so we're in agreement that about what?
They caught it. We're good. Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
All right, so retracting?
Yeah.
We'll call this a retracted foul call. All right.
So the player's deciding because it didn't impact the play. No ruling needed. The call's been retracted. We're going to keep going. But that's that physical defense we've seen from Maguire right there.
Yeah, I'm sure if the throw actually went up to Atkins, definitely a foul would have been called and something would have had to go to the observers, or maybe they would have decided it with themselves. But Frankenberg now on offense. And that throw just bobbled out of the hands there. And now OC, defensive opportunity. They're going to go right away. Roberts looking for Maguire. And Atkins jumping early, I think, led Maguire to do the same.
Looks like there's a foul on the throw. I'd be interested to hear the discussion on this one. That's a pretty big throw for there to be contact on it, but we'll see what the conversation says.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, uncontested. So we have a foul, uncontested, coming here.
A testament to the throwing power of Sam Roberts to be able to put that throw as far as he did despite the contact. And you see, that's what this Oklahoma Christian defense looks to do. They have athletes all over the line, and Roberts is one of the best deep throwers in the division. If he can get a deep shot off to one of his athletes, even if it's not necessarily wide open, he trusts them in their matchups, and he's going to put that up to them. Looks like McGuire's going to have a couple of steps. We'll see if he throws it up to him again.
Decides to look him off here, and they're going to settle into their offense, finding Card.
Card is a player who was on the Eagles offense in the fall. He actually had 5 goals in the final against Middlebury, but has made the move to their D-line this semester, giving them a little bit of extra firepower for situations like this.
Speaking of firepower, looking deep and just too far from Maguire, but Roberts dialing up another big huck there.
Yeah, and that's one that nobody's going to get credited for with a block, but that's a team turnover from the Middlebury defense. They shut down all options for Roberts, and he had no choice but to just punt it and play field position. And now let's see how the Pranksters offense responds on their second attempt at a hold on this point.
That Maguire-Atkins matchup is good to see, too. Handlers going at it. Flicking out to Frankenberg, who decides to leak downfield.
Yeah, he peeled deep from the front of the stack down the break lane, and there was a miscommunication on the help. And that miscommunication ends up punishing Oklahoma Christian as Frankenberg throws yet another assist for the Pranksters, finds Ben Morris. And now you see the other side of crossing over players, right? So Elliott Moore was just on that multi-turnover point. Jonathan Costello was just on that multi-turnover point. Those guys now have to go out and play their 3rd straight point after multiple turnovers and having to work back and forth across the field 3 different times. This is where you as a coach have to decide, when do you push all your chips in? When do you go for that break opportunity and cross people over? Because if you don't get it, you end up in a situation like this where now a couple of your key pieces are having to play tired on this next offensive point.
And then, of course, the devastating thing, the trickle effect of that, Mike, is if they get broken again, then what? Are they playing a fourth point? You call in a timeout,
Correct.
You have one left. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it can stack up on you. It can snowball real quick. Now, we're seeing a little bit of different personnel on this O-line. We talked about Card being an O-line player in the fall. He comes back out for this point. Looks like we don't see, I'm not sure who we're missing from their usual O group, but an adjustment made already from Oklahoma Christian from a personnel standpoint to put Card back out there.
Yeah, Cook is out there with more Hamilton, a couple Belolo, a couple of those O-line mainstays here, and they're going to center it to Cook, the graduate student from Illinois. Working more isolated underneath against Solo Fernandez. Costello. And they're just working up this open side are the Eagles.
This is what it looked like in their fall matchup. You see the matchup force flick as we see Belolo try and air one out. It's hanging. Costello jumps, and he's got the size to come down with it. Belolo, if he was going to miss, he was going to miss high and let his big man go be big. That's the way to toss it up to your athletes, and Costello obliges going up and making the grab.
You got to love the moxie of Belolo as well, because we've mentioned a few turnovers now, you know, a couple drops and stuff, but it can get in your head. And we talked about maybe sitting him a point, but it looks like he threw himself back in with that throw. That was a measured shot. He knows his receiver, but makes the play.
Yeah, and I was starting to make this point. That's what Oklahoma Christian's offense looked like in this fall matchup. Side stack, force flick, tons of space, using their athletes to win matchups, putting up the correct deep shot, and holding with ease. We'll see if Middlebury go back to that matchup force flick anytime soon, because it was not effective there.
Middlebury pranksters on offense looking very relaxed right here. And that's the style I feel like they embody, right? You see some of the hats they're wearing or just the jerseys, the pink, just that like free-flowing style, and that relates to their play as well.
Not a care in the world, Theo. They have a lot of fun out there. You see their sideline is jumping up and down and dancing, and they've got their women's team on the sideline as well, hyping them up. And looking at the personnel of this OC defense, you see Card is out there for his third straight point. Let's see if the Eagles are able to generate any more break opportunities for themselves.
Sam Roberts pulling this time for the Eagles. They center it to Frankenberg, does the pranksters. High throw, and can't come down with it. And so now a break opportunity. You don't have some of those offensive players crossing over, but Card is out there, who is that veteran presence for them.
Yeah, and it's a short field opportunity here, so we're not going to see necessarily a quick huck from Roberts. They're going to have to work it a little bit. Let's see if they can show some patience here and march it in the end zone. A great first under from Card.
Mary draws two defenders. Said Roberts. Are they going to sneak it into this backhand side, or are they going to be able to swing it out here? Roberts finds Kamari for the score, and that's the break OC was looking for. You mentioned some of the patience. They didn't huck it right away, Mike, and they get the break. It's all tied up.
Yeah, tough grab in traffic there from Emmanuel Kamari. Kamari is an interesting story. He's 25 years old, but he is a freshman as he is from Kenya, so a little bit more experienced as an athlete, but still pretty new to the sport of ultimate. And what a grab there in traffic. You saw the help defense coming from over the top from Middlebury. And as you see here, Frankenberg's flick just elevated on him a little bit going into the wind, and that was enough to cause the drop from his receiver, Jack Landrigan. And Oklahoma Christian clinical in punishing that. Don't give the disc back and get their break back. We are back to being on serve 6-6.
Got to give credit to Kamara as well with the concentration. Defender coming off the back like that, trying to leak off the stack and make that play, and he was able to snag it out of the air.
Absolutely. A lot of trust in Middlebury's O-line here. They marched the same group back out there, unwavered by it. And honestly, that's how they should feel. They've had more break chances in this game. Their offense has been cleaner in this game. Stay the course. Don't let that one fluke of a play, in their eyes a fluke at least, don't let that one play waver your confidence in your team.
Mike, let's take a look at the OCD line here. I see Elliott Moore out there. Card is there again, Roberts, so they're really just going to continue to stack some of these big-time players for them, really getting them some burn here in the semifinal.
Yeah, and Moore's presence on the line is big because it helps shift some matchups for them. So Moore can take Frankenberg, although it looks like, yeah, Moore's going to take Frankenberg. And we do actually see, I stand corrected here, Leo Silva Fernandez does cross over on this point, being guarded by Roberts, who we saw hand block him the last time those two were matched up. Let's see how it shakes out this time as we see Atkins initiate with an under. And he's got Landrigan deep. Oh, and inches away, Landrigan with a big layout. I think it actually hit his hand, but he is unable to come down with it there. And it looks like he might be taking an injury on this play.
Great effort there from Landrigan. I know he hit the drop earlier, but that was a sweet layout attempt. Looked like a classic vertical split and send play there. Both sides of the disc going underneath, and then Landrigan going into the deep space, but just can't come up with it. Now if you're OC, think of your coaching hat here, Mike. Are we calling timeout? You're going to let this D-line offense just run its course here?
Well, so first off, we hope Landrigan's okay. Seeing on that replay, looked like he hit his head pretty hard on the ground, but you know, one of the realities of an injury sub is that your opponent gets to make that injury sub as well. And we see Costello come on for Oklahoma Christian here, so no timeout needed. With Elliott Moore already crossed over on this point, and now Jonathan Costello, the Eagles have their big guns on the field right now. This is perfect setup for them to take a one-break lead here. Let's see if they can work at the full 70 with Roberts tapping it in.
Maguire, Card, Kamiri, and Costello, your cutters out in the horizontal stack here. Instead, it's Costello. Thought it was for Card, but Costello gets it. Has Roberts as a reset, finds him. Swing it to the far side to Moore. Moore gonna power a flick, and Atkins doesn't get the catch ball, but he'll knock it down and let the Middlebury offense reset here.
Really don't like that look from Moore. I mean, they were getting unders when they wanted them. There was no need to force that shot. Going into the wind, that was always going to be a difficult look. I understand why he likes Kamari. We see the hut go up here to Jory Dahl, but Thomas Maguire lays out to make sure that he gets the block. That's how you do it for the stat right there. Make sure you get credit for that block. And now Oklahoma Christian have their second opportunity to go the full field for a break.
I mean, Mike, you're in the national semifinal. You're getting streamed. Of course, you're gonna
Why
tap
not?
it away and get the block. Why not?
Why not?
For the friends and family at home watching. Late throw. And Costello comes down with it. It was tipped and macked.
Huge block from Ben Morris isn't rewarded.
Moore thought about the big backhand.
Think he learned from the last huck there, Theo. Didn't want to give the disc away again. Going upwind, that's a tough look.
Maybe settling down here, and does look like he was looking deep, but now Roberts cutting up line, and now he does have to shoot up deep at a high stall, and they can't pick it up. Kamari falls to the ground here. Check to make sure he's okay. Calling an injury sub.
It looks like he's calling a foul here, Theo. I don't know about this call.
Like, I never see anyone, which means that's going into my own space. I felt like it was two people going straight to the desk.
But it was his space. He laid out first. It was his space. I'll tell you.
Are you coming to me for a ruling? Yeah. Okay, so observer ruling, we're going to go no foul. We're going to hold here. We're just going to have you do a 3-2-1 ground check to restart play.
And you hear the crowd erupt as the observer rules no foul there. I understand where Kamari's coming from, feeling the contact there, but on a poorly thrown disc like that with both players kind of attacking the same space, it didn't seem like anybody had claimed that space first and was entitled to it to be able to call the foul. I think that's a good call from the observers to rule no foul on that play.
Hands faking the flick and instead has to find a reset, and it's knocked down. David Peterson. And now your OC, your defensive line with some offensive starters as well, gets your chance, and Roberts now decides to go for the timeout. I think as there were a couple turnovers, Mike, they decide this is the time to do it.
Yeah, and you see Water being rushed out to the field right away to Oklahoma Christian's players. I think the intensity of this point and the back and forth nature of it is starting to wear on them a little bit, and when you get physically tired, that's when you start to get mentally tired as well. I think this is a smart call. The disc is centered. You have a lot of options in terms of the set you want to run from here, and you haven't had a better break opportunity chance than this. So I'm going to go ahead and look at here a highlight of Walker Frankenberg and his assists so far in this game. He has 5 of them already. All of the holds for Middlebury have come from Frankenberg, and as you see, It's a variety of different throws that he's using here. Working to the break space with the backhand, hitting an away shot with a flick. Shifty, super quick, difficult to contain in that handler space. As we mentioned at the beginning of the game, uses his legs to his advantage as a handler. You see the inside flick there to Ben Morris. He's been unstoppable so far, Theo.
I also like that we talked about in the earlier game with handlers potentially starting downfield, and we're seeing that here with Frankenberg where he's in different spaces. We saw him even leak out into the deep space from the front of the stack.
Yeah, it keeps the defense from being able to settle in on his movements and figure out any sort of like pattern or rhythm of his cuts by starting from different angles and different places. Helps keep the defense on their toes. But that said, it is the Oklahoma Christian defense that has the break opportunity here, coming out in a horizontal stack with more set up in the negative space as a reset.
Solo Fernandez drawing that Roberts matchup now, and Roberts looking for card, and there it is. OC get that break that they wanted. It's 7-6, and Card's been playing a lot, and you see the versatility there. And he is fired up. Good celebration there with Roberts.
Yeah, I really like that play design from Coach Garrett Taylor. It was kind of a reverse wheel where you had the 3 cutters set up on the 4 side slashing across to open up that back corner space, and Card kind of, instead of running a wheel, which is typically an under, just runs a sweeping deep cut from the back there. Makes it a foot race with his defender, a foot race that Card wins. We talk about the experience that Card had on the Oklahoma Christian O-line in the fall and the goal scoring ability he showed there, showing it on the D-line here, and Roberts dials up a perfect throw to him in space.
And I'm looking at this defensive line, and it is powered right now, Mike. It's all the big guns, offense, defense. You put them together, you're trying to get that break for half to go up 8-6.
Yeah, this is probably the top line for Oklahoma Christian here. This is probably their top 7, their universe line. This is the best group they can throw on the field. Coach Garrett Taylor sees the chance to try and take half here. They're going downwind. It's going to be difficult for Middlebury, and going into half up 8-6 with a break in hand versus making this game 7-7 and giving Middlebury the chance to get their break back going downwind, it's a tremendous difference. It's almost a 2-point swing, or a 3-point swing rather than a 2-point swing. Let's see if Oklahoma Christian's gamble here of loading up this line pays off. So see Atkins centering the disc to Frankenberg.
Yeah, you talked about that earlier, how it can come back to bite you. We'll see if it does here. Travel called on Solo Fernandez. Boo from the crowd, and it looks like there'll be a foul call here.
And we see Kamari laying on the ground, maybe just catching his breath for a second. Let's hear the discussion here between the two.
And it not only was a foul, but it also was a dangerous play because he came in from this side of me and hit me.
I think that you definitely got this first, but because he didn't see you and he didn't know you were coming in, that's why I would call it a dangerous play.
Okay, so are you guys leaving as a contest?
It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly a dangerous play. Like, you would hit me from behind.
You want my perspective? Do you want rules clarification on dangerous play, or do you want a ruling on this?
I want the ruling on this.
Okay. The observer ruling on this is that he had position in a way that did not appear to me to be dangerous, and he got to the disc first. And in essence, you were coming second and hitting him. So the observer ruling is this is not a foul. The result of the play is a turnover. The disc is going to be placed here at the spot of the foul, and you're going to restart play with a check.
I am truly, truly shocked by this ruling from the observer here. I don't like to undermine our third-party, officiators here, but you heard Elliot Moore chime in that he felt it was a dangerous play, and it certainly looked like a dangerous play to me. Moore's explanation covers it. Even if he does get to the disc first, Frankenberg's making a cut in a way that he can't see the contact coming, and Kamari is making a play where he can see where the contact is going to occur, and Kamari still took a line that created contact on that play. That is why the dangerous play rule exists. It's for a play like that, and it's shocking to me to see that the observer didn't uphold that call.
High stall count, and Middlebury does get it back, so the interesting call, as you mentioned, but the pranksters do get it. I know Frankenberg and Moore were still talking as the disc was technically live there. Landrigan, guarded by Bololo, goes around, finds Frankenberg. Little pitch and catch, back to Landrigan. Atkins and Frankenberg cluttering up the handler space. Solo Fernandez lays it out to save it, but there is a call.
Looks like maybe a stall is being called on the throw. Maybe
All
not.
right. On your check.
So Fernandez taps it in, goes around, finds Hanscom.
And this is where Frankenberg eats. Let's see if Elliot Moore can do a better job stopping him than the defenders on the D-line have done previously.
As you say that, he sneaks out free there from Moore, which sets it back to Solo Fernandez. Dancing in the front of the stackers, Middlebury right now, and that's a little handler give and go action. Frankenberg and for Solo Fernandez. They make things happen, Mike. That's a clinic on handler give and go in the end zone. Even with switches, they're able to figure it out. Middlebury's fans are excited in the audience. It's tied up 7-all. Now does the gamble pay off?
Beautiful end zone work there from Middlebury. I hope we get a replay there where we can see how that play developed, because what we talked about before on the switch. So you'll see Moore here try and communicate a switch with Roberts. Roberts makes that switch there, but never once makes contact with Frankenberg, right? He's on his heels the entire time, and Frankenberg is still dictating. If you allow Frankenberg to dictate the motion like that and dictate where he's going and never once put a body on him to tell him where you want him to go, he's going to score on you every time. You're not going to stop him. Beautiful end zone work there, beautiful patience from Sobel Fernandez and Frankenberg. And now let's see if the Middlebury defense can take advantage of those OC O-line players just being on the field. This break right here, this point is for half.
And this is the second time we saw Frankenberg really take away those switches and kind of identify with his veteran presence there, identifying what's happening and able to get free there. And now we see this offensive line. Peterson hadn't played the last point. He's out there, but a lot of the same suspects are out there for them, including Bololo, Moore, Costello, and Card.
Yeah, and you know, the timer just went off here for what I believe is the halftime cap. But it's not going to really impact anything because it is 7-7. This point is for half no matter what. I'm kind of surprised to see Frankenberg not on for this point for Middlebury. They could have done the same thing where they take a timeout to try and buy a little bit of rest. They do still have one timeout left in this half, I believe.
They do, and maybe they call it if they get a turnover. We'll see. We'll see if the strategy pays off here. Don't get to take your timeouts into the half, so Peterson finds more, and they're working in their own end zone. That patient offense we saw earlier in the game, and Middlebury trying to dictate that. Solo Fernandez, that's trouble, and he knocks it down, but a foul is called.
I don't know about that one. It looked like Solo Fernandez had inside position. Let's listen to the discussion take place.
Just a strip. Just a strip call. So you brought it to us. The observer ruling is that it was not a strip. Therefore, the turnover is going to stand. We don't have to move the disc anywhere. What's going to happen is the team now on defense is going to tap us live, and then we'll have 10 seconds for the pre-stall.
I think that's a good ruling from the observer there, Theo. We saw on the replay, for it to be a strip, you have to have sustained control of the disc and have it knocked out of your hands. Hamilton maybe got a finger on it, but there was no way he had control on it. Good call from the observers there. Now Middlebury, 5 yards to go. Can they punch in the break? Excellent call, Theo. Excellent call. They take the timeout here to set up the look that they want and make sure that they can take half.
I can't take too much credit for it. I just, observed what was happening and maybe thinking that that's why they decided not to call it. I was surprised, too, at the beginning of the point they decided not to call it. But now, no Frankenberg, but you still have other firepower out there. Solo Fernandez is going to pick up just yards away from getting that break, putting things back on serve here for the Pranksters.
Yeah, and Solo Fernandez starting with the disc. You have your best thrower there. He's capable of hitting multiple different windows. I think no matter what Middlebury does here, their shot needs to be towards the end zone, right? If an open swing is there, take it. But they're going to be looking to try and set up something for the end zone. They do a really good job of cutting with conviction. There's not a lot of dancing from Middlebury. If you watch their handler cuts, they make decisive strike cuts and wait for the next person to come fill. I would expect their play coming out of this to be some sort of strike cut initiation and someone filling, maybe looking to strike off of that fill or looking to swing the disc. But regardless, expect them to set up something where they're making a strong convicted cut and looking for an aggressive look to the end zone.
When you're speaking of dancing here, Mike, all I can think about is their sideline dancing. Just none of that on the field. That's what we don't want to see here. no banana cuts, as they say. Solo Fernandez has the disc in his hands.
I like this call from OC to not have more on Solo Fernandez, putting the bigger mark of Hamilton on him instead.
See if it pays off here.
You see the strike cut and the fill.
Goes lefty backhand and finds his receiver. That's Max Rogers. The freshman gets the break, and that's how the half ends. 8-7. This has been an exciting semifinal, folks. You got to tell your friends about it because this is a great game so far.
You know, to quote the great Mark Jackson, big-time players make big-time plays, and that is a big-time throw from Silva Fernandez. You could feel the pressure building as each reset cut was covered and unavailable. You could feel the pressure as the stall count rises, and out of nowhere, the lefty sauce pops it right over the tall Mark's shoulder into the waiting hands of the freshman Rogers. What a huge break and a huge way for Middlebury to take half, as you see the replay of it there. My goodness, what a first half we just watched, Theo.
Mike, that double-edged sword has come back to bite OC because they played that basically universe point line, gave up that hold to Middlebury, and then gave up a break now.
Yeah, it did come back to bite them, and you see Oklahoma Christian trying to dial it in here, really focused as a team. Middlebury celebrated. Their women's team is out on the field celebrating, dancing right now. They are loose, they are upbeat, but you know what? After everything that happened, we go into half on serve here, Theo. Everything has happened theoretically how it's supposed to so far. We'll see if Oklahoma Christian can come back in the second half, get the breaks they need to come from behind and win this game, or if Middlebury will hang on to avenge their loss in the fall national final.
Regardless, we're going to know for a fact that both of these teams earned it because this is a hard-hitting semifinal, blow for blow. I know we're going to use the boxer analogy here, but that's what it is so far. We see the celebrations. I know we talked about the different styles here. A couple big blocks here from Middlebury. Max Rogers there. And Elliot Moore with the high release backhand. There's been so much action. Walker Frankenberg being the real star from Middlebury so far.
You could make a highlight reel just from the first half of that game and have more than enough material. I mean, both teams are playing at such a high level, executing and making such big plays. We're seeing athleticism and skill from everybody involved. We got it all there in the first half. It was as closely contested as we could possibly ask for, and we are in for a great second half.
We're going to take a break here. Be back in 10 minutes for the rest of this men's semifinal. Stay tuned.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice between beauty and brutality, style and steel, between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in? What if there was a game that found balance between spirit and sport, agony and elation, like a disc dancing on air?
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate.
It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops, like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
and that one is pulled down.
Josie Gillette, inside forehand to Warder. He goes up and gets it.
Villanueva with the blade and a great one-handed catch.
Caught by Chang.
Great layout block from Samuel. Alan Villanueva climbing the ladder and then jumping off the ladder. Mountain pops in the air and a great grab. Looking to break to take half. Rogowski to the end zone and the layout catch.
Baby shark, you did it! Baby shark! That's a breaking news!
Welcome back to Old Two Worlds live coverage of the 2019 D3 College Championships from the center of the sun, College Station, Texas.
Abby Chang going for it all.
Absolutely, just ripped it.
Unmarked. And she puts up a beautiful shot.
And now Solomon challenging Chunmoy deep. And a great layout grab.
It's the around break for Samuels. She tracks it down.
And a great layout catch block. And there it is, once again, Noah Chunmoy.
Braden Cowan.
DiLorenzo looking for the goal right away. That one's floating up. And Villanueva goes up. He goes up so early and so high. Great block.
Hand block by Gillette.
Salzman goes up big with the hook to DiLorenzo.
DiLorenzo has a step and the height advantage. And a great one-handed catch. Kai DiLorenzo, are you kidding me? Now looking to air it out once again, looking for Strensky. A great toe of the line by Zoe Hecht. Now Air Force airing it out, looking for Villanueva deep, and that is an absolute dime.
Now Gillette unmarked, and that's a recipe for a backhand huck. Hecht with the fall down forehand.
Making them 2019 national champions.
National championship in her hands.
Thank you, USA Ultimate!
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually...
You're watching Ulti-World's coverage of the D3 College Championships men's semifinal between the Middlebury Pranksters and Oklahoma Christian Eagles. Theo Wan here with Mike Ball. Oklahoma Christian here on offense in the white jerseys.
Yeah, it was an exciting first half. Got everything we could ask for in terms of excitement from both sides. And at the end of it all, we're still on serve. So this game is exactly where it's supposed to be. It's going to take a special effort from one of these teams to break free from the rhythm of the game in this second half, and let's see which team steps up to do that, as we've got Middlebury throwing their zone look here on the first point of the half against the Oklahoma Christian offense.
This is eerily similar to the first few points that they played, where they did this kind of look. And so we'll see what Elliott Moore dials up. Went with a high backhand and can't stay in, so Middlebury gets a break chance right out of half.
You know,
can they punish them?
Live by the Moore, die by the Moore. He has broken open this zone a few times, but he's also been responsible for a few of their turns against it with the over-the-top looks. And now we see if Middlebury can punish it.
Max Rogers zipping a flick and looking for a Najarain, but a little too far, and
you know,
OC gets reprieve.
This is a bit hypocritical of me, given how I've preached about on the earlier game Lincoln Grinch starting from different places and then praising Walker Frankenberg for starting from different positions. But every time Silva Fernandez has tried to move downfield and cut for this D-line offense, they've struggled. And that point he was starting from the back of the stack, couldn't get involved, and Rogers ends up throwing it away. I admire his trust in his teammates, but in the national semifinal, I'd rather see Silva Fernandez command the disc and get involved in the action and make sure that they at least get a quality look at the end zone.
And for OC right now, their offense is looking to just reel it in. Maybe no more over-the-top throws from Moore. He's going to go down low instead, and stinked off the ground is Card.
Yeah, nice hands there from Card. Moore living on the edge here. Throws the scoober for the swing.
Why go for a traditional backhand when you can just throw a scoober for a swing pass there? So
why be normal when you can be great?
Mike, you're just dropping some words of wisdom. I will say that this has happened multiple times on the broadcast where you're just dropping some, not just cliches, but real words of wisdom here, and hopefully someone in the audience takes it to heart.
That's a Lakers fan watching Russell Westbrook all season and seeing his why be normal. That's all that is. Well, let's get back to this game. Moore drops the scoober over the top of the zone to Card. Card really showing off his hands here, providing a reliable option for Moore on a couple of occasions. And now Oklahoma Christian are just about 15 yards out from the goal here, and Middlebury staying in this zone defense.
You did say Card played offensive line in the fall, and seeing him out here as well for that. And we saw Elliott Moore, he was getting ready for that scoober, but faked it instead. But he's definitely going to potentially unleash that again as we see a call between LaValle and Moore.
This would be a shocking stall, given how nonchalant the whole play was.
So coming in observer, not a stall because it was a fast count on the last count. So it's going to stay here, coming in at 1. So observer, overrule, coming in here, 1.
The crowd getting involved, cheering, "Let's go Orange," as we await the ruling from that observer.
Loving the atmosphere right now at this college championships for sure. Got the stadium seating, a lot of fans out here packing the stands. Costello finds Moore.
I kind of love Middlebury staying in this zone look for so long. Most teams fall out of it at this point, but there's never really been an opportune time to fall out of it that wouldn't have resulted in an OC player being left open for the goal. So unless the opportunity presents itself where it makes perfect sense to fall out into a matchup, go ahead and stay in this and make them stagnate, make them work for a long time.
Make the legs work of some of these players. I know Moore's been staying there quarterback in this offense, but some of them downfield. Costello now working his way into the backfield space. Labillo holding on to the disc.
We'll see how long OC can stay patient.
At some point, the internal clock runs out, right? Thinking, we got to do something with this. We can't just be so patient for so long, right?
Well, at some point, they have to score because they're playing from behind as we see Solo Fernandez. Oh, a tough collision there as he's holding his shoulder, reaching in to get that block. And to add insult to injury, it appears Costello has made a call on the play.
See the observers talking about it as well as we're going to take a look at the replay here, Mike. What do you see here on your screen?
It's tough to see from that angle as we see, thankfully, Silva Fernandez is okay. I'm wondering what the ruling is going to be on this call. You know, this is eerily similar to the dangerous play call that was made earlier.
Play. Substitutions made.
Pick up the disc, please.
And it seems like there is no call on the play. So Silva Fernandez did beat Costello to the disc. And it looks like maybe some eager legs from Middlebury got started a little bit quickly on the tap in there.
The thing to note right now, though, Mike, is Frankenberg's now out there.
Yeah, we've seen his chemistry with the O-line. Let's see if he has that same connection with the D-line. But he's not even going to get involved as we see the deep look go up. Excellent positioning there from Tobin Graff, sealing out Kamari.
This is the Middlebury opportunity. Frankenberg. He gets there for the score. Lays out, but some players calling it down, including Card motioning for the down call. This is going to be an interesting decision here as they get the observers involved, Mike.
This is a massive call as we see the replay
Absolutely.
here. Let's see if we have an angle. Hard to tell, but it certainly looks like he caught it. This might be a better look. And it looks like he has that disc. It looks up to me. Oh, and an observer is calling it down.
That is a huge call, Mike.
I am mostly shocked by that call because of the observer that made it. The observer that's ruling that is as far away from the play as possible. He might have communicated with the other observers, but he is the one who made that call. I am shocked to see that overturned considering the angle that the observers had on that play. None of them had a clear perspective. If anything, I would have expected it to go back. But now Oklahoma Christian has the disc again with the full field to work.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, this is an offensive point right now for Oklahoma Christian coming out of half. So we're back on serve, and they're trying to work it up the field here. Peterson faking the scuba. And once again, that patient offense, and this is what Middlebury wants right now, slowing down the game a little bit.
Now the one difference here with stretching out this point is that Silva Fernandez is off and Frankenberg is on. So Middlebury technically don't need any breaks to win this game. They can ride it out with holds. As we see Bololo boost it to Costello. If this disc stays in, and it does, inch perfect throw from Bololo, hits Costello in the back corner for the hold. And Middlebury, after getting literally as close as you could possibly get to a break, instead give up the hold going the opposite direction.
To say it's a backbreaker is an understatement there, Mike. You had it in your grasp. A big call there from the observer, as you mentioned, and now OC gets the hold. We're back 8-all, and now Frankenberg's probably going to go out there again, so we'll see what those legs feel like now after playing that defensive point.
You know, that's twice now that Middlebury have been on the unfortunate side of some polarizing and contested rulings from the observers. And you never hope to see the observers play a crucial role in the outcome of a game. You'd like to see it decided by the players on the field. And we don't know that the observers are going to play a crucial role in this game. You know, we've yet to see what the outcome is going to be. But that's two major plays now that they have ruled in favor of Oklahoma Christian and against Middlebury on. And those start to add up, and at some point they're difficult to overcome. I wonder what the observers and what Middlebury are going to think when they look back at this broadcast and see the replay of that grab. It certainly looked up from our perspective, but obviously a much tougher call to make at live speed.
Yeah, they don't have the benefits of replay that
For
we
sure.
do up here, Mike, and we'll see what they say once again as they watch the broadcast. Your comments as well about that call earlier. But now we're on to this point. 8-all the score here. Frankenberg, center of the field. Guarded by Kamari.
Yeah, Frankenberg looked off a couple open cuts, but is still able to hit the swing. Number 88, Aiden Masters, has been open a few times in the middle there as he's being guarded by Roberts, who's taking every opportunity to poach off of him. So you see Card playing physical on Hanscom.
Yeah, they're really working at that open side, and can they get it back to the center of the field here? Going with the hammer. It's knocked down. Peterson getting involved for OC. Probably not the best decision there from the pranksters.
Yeah, that's just tough. And we've talked earlier about Middlebury not dancing. Frankenberg actually did a little bit of dancing there in the reset space, and Hanscom didn't have a great option. Tried to go with the hammer as a bailout and was unable to complete it. So we see Roberts floating it out to space for Kamari.
Mary did a great job of identifying that poach there by Frankenberg, able to get free there on the open side. Now Roberts looking deep for Maguire. Two-hand grab for the score. Waiting for the observer ruling. There it is, the spike, and OC gets the break. So that's a huge turn of events from that down call we saw. Look at that change. What a game, folks.
A momentum swinger there. And I'm sorry, I'm pausing because it looks like Atkins might be hurt. Came down a little bit awkwardly on that play. He's walking off the field on his own power, so hopefully he's okay. But my goodness, what a grab from Thomas Maguire. It's not often that you see the pancake sky, but he goes up with both hands and comes down with it in a crowd. To see the replay here. And Maguire having some fun with the crowd being pretty vocally against Oklahoma Christian, and Oklahoma Christian leaning into it, engaging with the crowd. And that, as you mentioned, Middlebury go from being inches away from the break of their own to then being broken on the following point. That's got to hurt for the Pranksters, and they've got to rally here and right the ship.
I'm just thinking now from Oklahoma Christian's perspective, you're kind of the, maybe you don't want this to be the case, but you're the villain a little bit, it seems like. You got to play into it and just take that road approach and kind of play with the crowd as well, and that's what they're doing right now.
Well, you got two choices, right? You try and fight it and change the narrative, which you can't do in the middle of the game. I don't know what you're going to do in the middle of the game to win the crowd
That's
over.
fair.
So you might as well lean into it. Feed off the energy. Be the bad guy. You know, I'm from North Carolina. We used to see ring teams back in the mid-2010s lean into the booing that they were getting at Nationals, booing themselves and everything. Sometimes you just got to embrace the hate and use it as an energy source for yourself and make it an asset instead of a detraction.
Horizontal stack look as Landrigan comes slashing from the one spot. Everybody trying to, as you said, right the ship here on offense, going around to Frankenberg. Playing another point here, I believe it's his third in a row. Silvo Fernandez now back out there, great to see it, and he's on offense for the Pranksters. Give and go action with Frankenberg.
Yeah, and you also see a couple of offensive crossovers from Oklahoma Christian with Costello out there. Looks like there's a foul called by Maguire on Bashore.
But you can't grab a wrist.
Okay, I don't think
I'll be easy. You did, but I'll be easy. But
I think your hands are all over me too.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
You initiated the contact.
I'm agreeing, but there's a difference between contact and grabbing.
All right, I won't be grabbing. I don't think it affected, so it's fine.
I know. I'm just saying, level of physicality, but I'll tone it down myself.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing.
Good.
All right, looks like Maguire called the foul. Seemed like both players had an issue with the physicality there. I think Bashore was reacting to Maguire's physicality with some of his own, and Maguire called the foul. Low throw there from Hanscom to Silvo Fernandez, but he's able to catch it, bounces the disc to Frankenberg.
There is a call, though, on the field. Roberts and Silvo Fernandez might have been a throw earlier here. So we're going to take a listen.
Who wants to stop play? Right. So that was when you still had the disc?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was before you were in the throwing motion, I take it?
I was in the throwing motion. It was in the follow through that.
Okay, so it's a play-on situation, just play stop.
Yeah.
So we're stopped right here. Got it. All right. Foul, no contest is play on your check.
Seems like it's just a little bit of a misapplication of the rules there, as Silvo Fernandez was fouled on the throw, but since it was completed. And that is a bad bid from Evan Card. That is just a straight-up bad bid. There's no use in mincing words there. He had no angle on the play, and the crowd is letting him know it. And the observer lets him know it as well with the yellow card, with the PMF.
Are you good physically? You're good physically? Okay.
I'm glad to see the observer pull the call here. Pull the card here because this game is escalating. The crowd is contributing to it, and that's just a terrible play. And you have to nip that early and punish it right away to keep it from happening again.
Hanscom finds Frankenberg for the score. Both of us are so excited we want to talk about it here. That's how excited we are because Middlebury gets the goal. It's 9-all. This is just an exciting game. I'm loving it from the booth, and part of me loves it in the booth, but I would love to go in the crowd too to see the atmosphere because it's getting rowdy down there.
Yeah, one of the few times I hate being sealed off from the atmosphere we have out there. Crowd is really getting into this game. It's escalating, and you can see the players feeling it as well. We get another look at Card's bid there. I mean, there's nothing else that needs to be said about it. It's a bad bid, and the observers treated it as such. Glad to see it. Glad to see the yellow card. As we see the crowd getting riled up there, everybody getting excited. And I want to give a shout-out here to USA Ultimate for making the change this year with D3 Nationals. Previously a 2-day event. This is the first time it's been its own standalone 3-day event, and the stretching of the schedule, the expansion of the schedule, has created this atmosphere. It's allowed for this atmosphere to take place, because the way it used to be is that you had 3 pool play games and pre-quarters all on Saturday, and then by the time you played quarters, semis, and finals on Sunday, teams were so tired, they were exhausted, they'd had their consolation games that morning, everybody was ready to leave. But with the expanded schedule this year, you've got teams that are done with play for the day, attending the semifinals, getting into the atmosphere of this. We still have a women's semifinal after this. This crowd's only going to get bigger, rowdier as teams finish up for the day. And all of that is thanks to USCU stretching it to a 3-day event. We really appreciate it, and it's created a much better signature event for these awesome players.
I'm sure they're loving the atmosphere right now. It's just a different pressure, right, to play with this crowd. And with OC, you're having, you know, the villain tag, and you got to lead into it, as you're saying. So now Elliot Moore with the disc, Middlebury in their zone look here.
Yeah, and Sam Roberts crossed over for this point, with the idea being that Moore would be able to operate from downfield, bringing the extra handler over. But with this zone look, Moore is forced into the handler space anyways. As he throws the blade up line, Frankenberg swooping in for the easy block, gets it to Sovo Fernandez, and Frankenberg is off to the races. Can they get their break back here? Playing a little 2-man game with Sovo Fernandez. The freshman Rogers gets involved. They're on the doorstep.
Rogers looking for Frankenberg now. Gets free. Solo Fernandez to Rogers. Little 3-person game here, and Solo Fernandez gets the score. He's trying to fire up the squad here. They get their break. It's 10-9. This is semifinals, D3 College Championships. Mike Ball beside me is just fired up right now.
Man, this is everything you're looking for. The crowd is electric. The Middlebury team is electric. Everybody is fired up right now. The crowd is literally bouncing up and down. It looks more like a European soccer match in here than it does a D3 Ultimate game. This is fantastic. We cannot ask for a better environment than this. Both teams making big plays, stepping up. The stars are stepping up and playing like it. We see Frankenberg swooping in to get the block there. He, Silvio Fernandez, and Rogers play a little bit of small ball, and it pays off in the end. And now we are back on serve with Middlebury up 10-9.
So let's take a look now at the OC offensive line. Roberts is back out there. And Moore, of course, and Hamilton, Costello. We hear some. Do you hear the chants out there, Mike? Do you hear what they're chanting? I'm not sure if you want to share that there on the broadcast.
You know, this is one of Middlebury's cheers. It's load the cannon, and then a sound of loading the cannon. I'm not really sure what it's alluding to, I got to be honest. It was one of Middlebury's cheers in the fall as well. But they've got everybody doing it. We can see the Oberlin team is doing it. Looks like Colorado College is getting involved. And just a whole smattering of people. The crowd is electric. These players are giving them a show. And now let's see if Oklahoma Christian can respond to the Middlebury break.
Moore still in the handler space right now as they come out in that flat zone look you mentioned, or that we've talked about earlier in this contest. So they're really switching things up, a very big contrast to that final that we've reiterated a couple times now.
Yeah, and it's a very fluid zone. It's kind of a diamond up front. You've got 3 kind of forming a triangle up front. Right now, number 2, Ethan Lavelli, is playing as that middle of Silvo Fernandez on the wing. But that front 3 is kind of fluctuating between being flat to deny any continuation and then kind of bending backwards into a triangle to pinch off the middle of the field and force it laterally. You might be able to hear the crowd in the background. Anytime Moore catches the disc, they're calling for travels to be called as he takes a couple of extra steps with it.
Mike, I'm just going to say it again. The crowd atmosphere is really helping at least make this a really signature event, as you mentioned. And Moore getting those travel calls, that's part of the course with the fans in the stands. You got to embrace it. Hopefully he doesn't start traveling because of it as he finds his dump.
Oklahoma Christian not able to find anything downfield right now. All of their movement is going lateral and backwards.
Moore going to go deep.
Patience runs out. He airs it out. Jory Dahl goes up and cleans it up with no problems. And now LaValle catches the under.
This is Middlebury's opportunity for another break. Going around. Solo Fernandez lays out big but can't get there. Hamilton picks it up, flips it to Costello, and that's going to silence the crowd a little bit. It's 10-all.
Yeah, Oklahoma Christian gets away with one there, getting their hold, and LaValle just committed to that around. Hadn't seen that Silva Fernandez had changed the direction of his cut and gone up line. Silva Fernandez gives it everything he's got to try and save it, unable to do so, and Oklahoma Christian are able to get away with the hold. Hamilton flipping it in to Jonathan Costello.
Got to give a little credit to Bololo's mark as well. Really extending, trying to make that around throw as hard as possible, and just really making his mark extend there.
Yeah, the D-line offense for the Pranksters has struggled against Oklahoma Christian's marks on several occasions. Oklahoma Christian's done a good job of funneling them to this near sideline and really making them hit narrow windows. As you see Jonathan Costello there, we highlighted him at the beginning of the game as the cutter complement to Elliott Moore as the handler, and he's had a big game so far with 5 goals. You see the two of them dapping it up there, talking about what's going on. And now the Middlebury O-line, after having a few points off, back out there. They can hold this. They can hold out and win this game still. They do not need their defense to break for them again. If the O-line just comes out here and does their job, they can win this game.
I will say, Mike, I'm sure the fans want to see some breaks and get the celebrations going. They definitely want that. They're feeling the Middlebury vibe right now. Atkins, great to see him back on the field. No, he went down with the injury earlier off of a sky ball there or a sky attempt.
Yeah, nice wheel play there for Morris. Then hits Landrigan. Oh, beautiful inside to Atkins. Continues it to Hanscom.
Hanscom has Atkins free. No one on him, and Maguire can't believe it. Card is not happy about something as well, as Middlebury celebrates regardless. And we're just going to let them play the celebration right now.
Look at all of them pour out there to get rowing together. They are getting the entire team out there. Team celebration there. Love to see the energy from the Pranksters. The crowd are feeding off of it. We want to see the replay here. Evan Card seemed to be upset about some sort of bump afterwards. I'm not really sure what he's upset about there. There didn't look to be too much, but he and Maguire both were gesturing to the observer for some sort of call there. Not sure what they were looking for. Maybe just some frustrations bubbling to the surface there as they struggle to contain this Pranksters offense.
And now we see the celebration from the Pranksters. This is where the mental toughness comes in from OC. Because, you know, a little tempers flaring a little bit, at least for a couple players.
Yep.
Now you're back on offense. How are you going to right the ship with your offensive line right now? What are you saying to the group here?
Yeah, you got to just tell them to stay the course. I mean, the offense hasn't been broken that many times in this game. It's been mostly a pretty clean game. We've seen 1 or 2 breaks here and there. Never any real runs of breaks, right? Both teams have done a pretty good job of bouncing back after getting broken. So this offense just has to continue doing their job. I think what you want to look for is ways to be aggressive against this zone. They've stagnated against it a few points in a row now. I'd be shocked if Middlebury didn't go right back to it, as I think we see an offsides call here. Trying to sort out what's going on here. All right, it appears that it was an offsides call.
Where the injury occurred, to the best of your ability.
Oh, there was an injury on the play. And it's Frankenberg that comes on for Silva Fernandez, maybe? Silva Fernandez typically pulls and is on the D-line, but not out there right now. I understand the observer's trying to get this right, but this is fairly inconsequential as the poll had just gone up. I'd much rather see the game just get going here. I think both the players and the crowd feel the same way.
Where you were when the disc was caught. When the disc was caught, where you're at.
All right, it looks like they've got this sorted out now, and we're back ready to get the action going again. Middlebury do come out in that zone.
Moore throws that scuba off, as we've talked about many times now. And he hops in, and maybe that's where those travels keep coming, as he likes to do a little hop when he catches the disc. Slowing down Oklahoma Christian here. 14.5 minutes to the soft cap. Going to add +2 to the highest score here. 11-10 right now for Middlebury.
Roberts getting the same treatment from the fans on the travel calls. He kind of walks into every catch. You see him do it again there as the crowd reacts to it.
Scuba from more low one. Picked up and then dropped by Card. Thought he had a handle on it.
That was a weird drop. It did look like he caught that disc. I'm not really sure why he then put it down. Maybe we get a look at it on the next stoppage. Frankenberg starting at the front of the stack. Jory Dahl and Rogers getting involved. Najarian gets to this there, and now Frankenberg's involved, and he's off and running. Costello bids.
And Costello going down actually right now, and that's going to stop the Middlebury offense. And don't want to see a star player like Costello go down like that, especially late into this contest. And looks like he is going to come off the field to a chorus of claps, which is good to see.
Yeah, he has to come off the field after calling injury on a non-contact play. He has to come off, but the fact he's able to come off on his own weight and everything, I'm sure he's just a little bit of a stinger, and we'll see him back out in this game. I'd be shocked if we did.
You'll check the disc on him.
Kamari coming in his stead right now, guarding Frankenberg. Got to make sure to be on your toes as Frankenberg likes to throw and go, and he does just that, going up line.
Look at the separation he creates on just his first couple of steps. I mean, he's open from the moment he decides to cut.
Tipped up throw. And knocking it over the top is Roberts, but there is a call. No call, actually. It's going to be OC disc and another opportunity right now on offense. Both teams have 2 timeouts as Roberts pumping it deep, looking for Kamari. Not in. On the doorstep right now. He's got 2 receivers. Throws a little push pass for the score. A little cheeky push pass. How do you do? It's 11-all.
Lord, give me the confidence to throw a push pass in a tied game in the national semifinal. Just amazing confidence there from Emmanuel Kamari. And Middlebury, once again, we saw it earlier on the layout from Walker Frankenberg that was ruled down. And we saw it again just there where they've gotten their hands on the disc in the end zone for break chances multiple times and been unable to convert. As you see on the replay there, Najarian got a full hand on it and it just bounced out of his hands. I mean, those plays are a matter of inches, and those inches could end up being the difference in whether or not they're able to win this game. You hope it doesn't come back to bite them, just because that would haunt them for a while if they saw those drops, or failed conversions rather, come back to haunt them. But we mentioned it before, that was just a hold. Middlebury can hold out in this game and still win. The pressure's on their O-line to continue to convert. Let's see if they're up to the task.
And we're looming into that soft cap. Both teams having 2 timeouts. I think that's important to note, Mike, because if we see a high stall situation or a turnover, we might see that being used at this late juncture of the game. Roberts set the pull here for OC. He's been a do-it-all in terms of just production. He's been doing a lot on defense and also been filling in on offense for them. So really been impressed with Sam, or Sammy Roberts, as you called him earlier.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one who put that hook to Kamari right on the goal line. So his impact on this game has been even bigger than the stat sheet is going to tell. So you see Frankenberg get the disc there and move it to Atkins. And the Cutters have pushed upfield, giving a lot of space to these 3 handlers for Middlebury, looking like a dominator set of sorts, but the handlers aren't really generating much leverage right now. Nothing advantageous coming out of this. Great cut from Atkins.
As you say that, Atkins gets free there, and they're still in that dominator set. Cutters really push far downfield. Now it's on the far sideline.
Yeah, I think this has still been okay for Oklahoma Christian, because Middlebury are having to work real hard and aren't gaining any real chunks. A good dominator set you're seeing. Is he able to toe the line?
Not in yet for Hanscom. Looking for Frankenberg. They're on the proverbial doorstep and flying in is Maguire.
I did not see my friend.
Okay, no call.
No call. It's going to be OC disc with a chance to break here to go up 12-11. Roberts to pick up.
And we see Maguire. We see the replay there. And Maguire takes an injury there, kind of hobbling off the field. Maybe ankle got messed up on that bid. But that allows Elliott Moore to come onto the field now to try and work this disc upwind for the Oklahoma Christian break.
And this is their opportunity. We'll see what they do with it. Roberts still in discussion, observers too.
No.
And you wonder if Sovel Fernandez is going to be able to play anymore in this game. You see coming on here is Lavallee. Typically you would see Sovel Fernandez coming on. You saw him take the injury on that last D point, take the injury sub. You hope he's okay.
Right. Is everybody set
if he's
now?
out, that is a major, major loss for Middlebury and puts a lot of pressure on the rest of the team to try and close this game out.
And especially puts a lot of pressure, I feel like, on Frankenberg as well in the handler space. I know he's been working a lot with Atkins. Haven't seen Atkins cross over as much on defense. Definitely seen Frankenberg a bit more there. So now OC, Roberts going to kick the pylon away. And a chance for a break. Is he going to pump a huck? He does. Goes with the flick. Looking for Labolo. Comes down with the grab.
Atkins just misreading that there. He kind of decelerated, whereas if he'd have just kept running, he could have gotten a block there. And now Middlebury have it with just less than 30 yards to go for their break. Oh, and Van Roosmalen throws it away, trying the difficult IO reset. That's a hard throw to make in still weather, let alone in winds like this, and he's unable to complete it.
Game of different momentum changes here, Mike, as Hanscom gets the under on that flick sideline now for Middlebury. Can they stave off this OC defense with the big layout? They're now settled into a vertical stack in the end zone set here.
Yeah, they're a little far away to be doing this end zone set, and Frankenberg right now is just chilling in the back of the stack, showing supreme trust in his teammates. Atkins gets it and is able to find Frankenberg. His trust pays off. Moore gets caught sleeping, guarding him at the back of the stack there. And you can't ask for any easier throw than that. Middlebury, after the turn, after the completed huck for OC, are able to get the disc back and get their hold. What a huge swing from Middlebury and a huge execution from their role players, finding Frankenberg in the end zone.
Now we take a look at the replay here. The huck to Bololo there, and that I wouldn't say ill-advised throw, just a tough throw with the wind, and now Middlebury takes advantage. Looks like possibly a timeout being called here, as I see both teams, or one team at least, Middlebury, talking to the observers.
Yeah, I think they're probably, as we approach the cap here, we've got just under 7 minutes, probably wanting to make sure that they're on the same page and understanding of the rules there in the cap and what things are going to be played out to. And time's starting to run out for Oklahoma Christian. You know, they're the ones who have to come back. You see the monster stat sheet for Frankenberg. 3 goals, 6 assists, and a block in just 1 turnover. I mean, he's as good as they come in this division, really in college ultimate in general. He'd be a starter on any team in the nation, and he is putting the pranksters on his back in this game. But just over 6 minutes left till cap. Oklahoma Christian are the ones that need a break at some point. I would be shocked if Middlebury didn't come down in their zone here, trying to eat up some clock, trying to kill a little bit of time, see if they can shorten this game. Oh, and you see
a little fake out from the puller there. DeMeo faking out his own team, and that leads to an out-of-bounds pull that's going to be picked up by Elliott Moore. So as you mentioned, time running out, 5:40-ish. Now heading into the soft cap, +2 to the highest score, as I mentioned previously, and that zone look here coming out for Middlebury.
I actually think it's +1 in the new rules there, Theo, with the 12th edition rules that came out in 2020. I believe it's a +1 soft cap now and not +2. But we'll see if we can get some confirmation on that. Back to the action. Middlebury are in that zone look, trying to slow OC down, and Roberts continues to get away with the travel there, and the crowd lets him hear it every single time.
Maybe the observers are tuning him out as well there, Mike. They just don't want to hear the fans. They want to focus on observing here as Moore fakes the scuba. Still in that kind of more stagnant offensive look here in the zone for OC.
It's every time he touches the disc, the crowd is letting him have it. So we see Moore with the scuba there to Hamilton, but that scuba doesn't do anything. It gains 5 yards and puts the disc on the sideline. I think Middlebury are fine with it as they get a piece on a high release backhand. But Costello is able to save it. Apparently that stinger from earlier is okay as he's back on the field. We love seeing that.
And I definitely saw a travel on that one for sure.
It's only a travel if Middlebury calls it.
Exactly.
They're choosing not to call it.
But that one was probably one of the more egregious ones I've seen there, Mike.
For sure. Catches it going towards the sideline and takes a full 2 steps upfield.
Okay.
Roberts now keeps the disc for OC. Trying to keep things moving here for the Eagles.
Patient work from OC until that scoober there from Moore. But that's another high-risk, low-reward scoober, only gaining a handful of yards and putting the disc on the sideline. Continues doing
that
it.
Scoober coming off again, and they sneak it into Costello for the score. So maybe they weren't listening to you there, Mike, because they're just trying to sneak that Scoober in.
Look, it clearly worked out. The result justifies the means, but if I were OC coach Garrett Taylor, my heart would be stopping on each one of those. There's been plenty of turnovers result from them. They're difficult throws to catch, and they're into tight spaces up against the sideline. But they get away with it. They get the job done. They get their hold. It's a clean hold with no turnovers. And now we're sitting at 12-12 with just over 3 minutes until soft cap. Let's see if Middlebury's offense can keep executing under the pressure, knowing that they can win this game if they just win out here and hold out the rest of the way.
Yeah, and Mike, you clarified the soft cap rules as well. Things changing on us, as you know, so with the new rules. So +1 added to the highest score there once the soft cap goes. So we see Costello 6 goals. Just want to make sure, the audience is informed of when this potential universe point is going to be, because that's going to be, we're hoping for that. We're going to see. There's still some time left.
It seems like we're heading that direction, though. It certainly feels destined for that double game point. But we got to get there first. Let's see what happens in this first one. Looks like the same Middlebury O-line is out there. Let's see where Frankenberg starts this point. He's kind of fluctuated. Towards the end of this game, he's taken on more responsibility, being in the handler space. But he's shown trust in his teammates as well. Let's see where they choose to utilize him here.
A big note for you there, Mike. No Leo Silva Fernandez right now on the field for Middlebury, so we haven't seen the last few points. As they work it up to Frankenberg, had power position. He finds Hanscom underneath. Going around back to Frankenberg. Call on the field. Stops Middlebury's little momentum there on offense.
Yeah, I think it was at the front of the stack.
Ready? Are you ready, players?
We got Costello on Hanscom, Elliott Moore on Frankenberg, and Thomas Maguire on Atkins. Those are the 3 key matchups to watch, especially as we get down to the red zone here. Frankenberg, Costello playing physical defense.
Trying to shake free. Does, and they're going to work that 3-person triangle offense here in the handler space. Cutter's very deep now in the stack. Hanscom looking for Atkins. Finds Frankenberg inside on the dump. Faking the flick. Finds Hanscom in the reset space. Working down the break side, looks off an open cutter there.
Yeah, we haven't seen Fenimore heavily involved, but he stays patient there. He's able to find Bashore. Bashore looking at Frankenberg at the front. I mean, you are seeing confidence and contributions from up and down this entire Middlebury roster. Every player that gets the disc looks confident and comfortable with it. They know the system, they know the role, they know what they're looking for. The rest of the stack is staying disciplined here and giving them the space. It's just going to be a matter of if these Middlebury handlers can find the opening they need to get into the end zone. You got to think Frankenberg is going to be involved when they do.
Yeah, Frankenberg faking backfield now, doing a little bit more dancing again, doesn't get free now. Atkins fakes the flick, going backhand, give and go action. Middlebury just right there, and Frankenberg signaling, trying to call a timeout, and there is, looked like there might have been a stoppage, but now players continuing to play here, Mike.
Yeah, I think he's getting worn down here and knows that they have to score this point, and if he's not able to have the energy to do so, it's going to be difficult to do. And there it is. There's the timeout call.
Frankenberg earlier in that end zone set was calling for it. Now they do. Bashore does call it. 12-12.
And with that timeout, we go into cap. It'll be +1 after this point. No matter who scores it, we're going to have game to 14. 12-12, game to 14. A trip to the national final on the line. You can't ask for anything more exciting than this, Theo. This is awesome.
You really can't, because you got the music blaring in the background. You got the fans out here cheering for Middlebury. You got OC, the quote-unquote villains, of course. And you got Theo and Mike in the booth. Come on. This is a great day.
What more could the people want? I mean, this game, it's been a crazy packed crowd this entire time, but I'm looking up and down the field right now, Theo. I think every bit of bleacher is filled at this point. We're now down to standing room only, with fans lining the fence along the side of the field. This might be one of the biggest crowds, if not the biggest crowds we've had for a D3 game, certainly for a D3 semifinal. These players are so lucky to get to be playing in this environment. I mean, this is why you do it, right? This is why you do all the practices. This is why you do all the workouts. This is what you work for, is to get to be in these moments. What a cool opportunity for these players as we see Middlebury come out of the timeout here in their vertical stack.
Something you'll always remember as well, right, as a player.
doubt.
I know, obviously, you'll remember it more if you win, but as we get set here, Bashor looking for Atkins. Now Hanscom. Frankenberg is in the front of the stack, working against Moore here.
Excellent poach from Maguire there. Took away the continuation look to Frankenberg.
Inside throw, scooped by Kamari, and OC gets it. Costello now. Game to 14, as you mentioned, Mike.
And now it's Oklahoma Christian's turn for a timeout. Elliot Moore has the disc centered in the middle of the field there. Takes his timeout. The fans are stunned. Middlebury turns it over there at the goal line. That was a result of really excellent pressure up front from the Oklahoma Christian defenders in the reset space, and then really smart poaching from the stack there. There was multiple times where Frankenberg broke free and a poach from one of the cutters in the back. Thomas Maguire did it a couple of times. Took away that option and kept Middlebury's throwers from trying to get there. And those poaches started making Frankenberg question his own cuts. You saw the miscommunication on that last one. That was a look for Frankenberg on that inside look to the break space. And Frankenberg, after seeing multiple of them get looked off, hesitated on that cut. We've mentioned it a couple times. When they cut with conviction, they get open, and when they dance, they get shut down.
Some Elliot Moore highlights for you at home. We highlighted Frankenberg earlier. Elliot Moore has been the one who's been driving the bus for OCers against the sky over Leo Sobo Fernandez. Be interesting to see right now what play they draw up out of the timeout, as we see a couple more moves from Elliot Moore there.
Yeah, timely highlight reel here from our production crew, as Moore is the one with the disc as they come in on this timeout. He's made some big plays so far in this game. None are going to be bigger than the play right here. 12-12, game to 14, no hard cap. This is what it is, and Moore looking to boost it to Maguire. He puts it up deep right away.
And it's knocked down by Hanscom, but there's going to be a call, folks. There's going to be a call. Maguire is down. Hanscom tapping the back of Maguire there. We're going to see what the call is. I know what the fans think the call should be.
Well, let's take a look at the replay.
Let's take a look at the replay exactly there.
Foul, no contest. So disc observer, or
Coach, I got it.
are you doing a substitution as well?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, receiver, if it's an uncontested foul, you'll get the disc in hand at the spot of the foul, and you'll have 20 seconds to walk the line. So with the disc, you'll check it to the ground, wait for the players to be ready, disc in hand, you'll get 20 seconds to check it in the line.
Uncontested foul there from Middlebury. There was a good bit of contact. I do think it impeded Maguire's ability to go up and make a clean play on that disc. Both players jockeying for position. And now Maguire has it at the goal line.
Flips it to Kamari. Kamari's going to call a timeout. They had one more. Not sure if that's what OC wanted.
Timeout, Oklahoma Christian.
And there's some discussion right now. Kamari signaling too. I believe he's saying we've called our last time out here, so now OC, if they do get the score, we'll just, play prediction here. If they do get the score, they won't be able to use one there on a defensive point.
Yeah, and I think OC know the importance of this possession, right? I mean, I think that's stating the obvious, 12-12 game to 14. But I think that these timeout calls are a function of knowing the gravity of the moment. You don't want anything left to a miscommunication. You don't want anything left to chance. You want to have a game plan and a set in place here. They have most of their top guns on the field right now. They have the group that they would want out there for a must-hold situation. So why not take that timeout and make sure you get the look that you want, punch in this upwind break, and then have 2 more points to try and finish off the game and get yourself into the final.
And with that, we saw a preview of sort of their, what people like to call their power line or kill line there, and we'll probably see that back out there, but right now they got to take care of business. Big mark right here from Ben Morris. So that's going to make things a little bit difficult here for Kamari. Roberts is his dump, more front of the stack, guarded by Frankenberg. Let's see what happens here. Men's semifinal inside throw. Moore can't grab it. Middlebury gets another opportunity.
I cannot believe what I just saw. When I saw Kamari step out to throw that, I didn't think the angle was there, but the throw came out in a way that was catchable, and Moore just couldn't bring it in. And now Middlebury stuck on their front cone.
Kamari gets it back, folks. He poaches off his defender or makes the big play here, and people are going nuts in the stands, in the booth. It is an exciting game, folks. Semifinal action, D3 College Championships. Kamari working give and go with Roberts.
Yeah, and now they're basically looking to run the same thing that they called out of the timeout. Just starting from the middle of the field this time, and Moore not wasting any time, getting involved, getting around the disc. But this Middlebury defense is backing them up, and they're now almost all the way back to midfield. Excellent pressure and containment from Middlebury's handler defense.
And it looked at one point, Costello coming back to there were 4 handlers back, just a little too much going on. Roberts now, as we hear more travel calls, is going to find Moore slashing across the field. Moore and Frankenberg, that matchup been all game so far. Go with high release flick, looking for Costello, gets bumped by Hanscom. Going to play on here.
Yeah, I like that choice from Costello to play on there. It keeps the defense from getting set. Keep your momentum going. There's no need for the stoppage when you caught the disc. High release throw from Elliott Moore, finds Card on the break side.
Card fakes a high release flick of his own here instead. He's going to go inside to Kamari. Is he going to make he might step out for that inside flick again. Just on the dorsal of the end zone as players get bunched up downfield, and there is a call.
And as that call was made, Kamari had started to turn to engage more in the reset. Let's hear the call.
Are you sure? Are you agree?
Coming in on 7. Coming in on 7. You said 7. I said 7. Even your player always reminding me. I'm kidding.
Saying 7?
All right, coming in saying 7 here. Kamari's already looking at Moore. He's just getting engaged up from the very get-go here.
Frankenberg is the hot player, as they say. You're hot right now, Frankenberg. It's Moore. Drops Frankenberg there, looks like, or Frankenberg fell down. We're going to see what the call is.
Well, the discussion is here. You're contesting. Do you want a ruling on the stall, or do you want to play it as a contest? Okay. Observer ruling. It is not a stall because it was a fast count. It's there.
Yeah, that was going to be the fastest 3 seconds of my life there, Theo. I'm not surprised to see that call overturned by the observer. Now Moore has it. He's got Costello and Maguire at the front in dangerous positions.
He's going to go around backhand to Costello. There it is for OC. They get the break. It's 13-12. Game to 14, Mike. Strap yourselves in for this exciting finish, folks.
That feels like the longest point of my life, Theo. I mean, we had 3 timeouts called on that point, multiple turnovers, everything we could ask for there. And now Middlebury has to get an upwind hold and then hope for the downwind break if they're going to get their win. OC in the driver's seat here. They've got 2 cracks at it. First one's going to be going downwind. The second one's going to be an O point. They're certainly in control right now. Middlebury have to dig deep here, have to find this upwind hold.
Here's the age-old question now. We saw this earlier in the game when OC powered their D-line, didn't get it, and got broken for half. Let's take a look at the line right now for OC, see what they draw up, see how many offensive players they call over, knowing that they do have 2 shots at it.
Yeah, and this is where the benefit of having played fewer games to get to this point is going to come in. Their top players, in theory, should be fresh enough to play this point and one more. I mean, you're in the last 2 points of a national semifinal. Your day is done after these 2 points. Dig deep, grind it out. I agree with Coach Taylor putting Elliott Moore back out here for this point, putting Bololo out here for this point, trying to load up this D-line with as many able bodies as he possibly can to try and get this break, because you don't want to put that pressure on your O-line if you can avoid it. If you can win with the break, go ahead and win with the break, because we see a monster flick pull from Sam Roberts.
Yeah, almost disc golf-esque there with the sidearm, as they call it, but no Costello on the field right now. Just interesting to note there. As Middlebury, your offense needs to convert here to force universe, double game point, all that good stuff. Frankenberg going up line, looks off the open cutter, instead settles for Hanscom, fakes the hammer, and a call.
So many calls in this game. You understand it with the high intensity environment.
Do we know
Nobody
how
wants
long
to
ago
lose
that pick
on a
was?
call they should have made. Pick here.
We're thinking either 1 or 2. We're thinking it's back a lot further. The echo is a lot. Okay, so we can make it 2 or 1. We're okay with that? All right, coming in saying stalling 2 on your check. We're not calling a play, we're tapping it in.
Middlebury stuck on the sideline, need to try and get it off.
And
No, you can't advance. Coming in saying stalling 2.
It's coming in on 2, as you mentioned, and a few calls happening, but of course the stakes very high. Your national semifinal. Hanscom is going to go up the line to Frankenberg. That's a score, folks, and we have double game point. Mike Ball beside me jumping up and down in the booth. This is what you want in a national semifinal, Mike. Come on, 13-all, game to 14. Let's go.
Yeah, you see a look at the crowd there. You see everybody's excited and fired up for this one. I am just blown away by the confidence of this throw from Hanscom here. This is a trust throw to his teammate Frankenberg. I mean, that window is as small as it gets, but he steps and throws it with conviction, knowing that if he jams it in there, Frankenberg is going to catch it. Those two have connected countless times over the course of their 2 careers, and they probably haven't had a bigger connection than that one right there to force double game point. And looking out at the line right now, we do see, is he out there just to coach or is he out there to play? Silva Fernandez is out there on the line, but it looks like he's unable to play. He's walking off right now. Looking at the line for Oklahoma Christian, you've got Card, Sammy Robertson, I'm sorry, Elliott Moore, Emmanuel Kamari, Bololo, and Max Hamilton as the 7 on offense for OC. The defense for Middlebury, you're looking at Jory Dahl, Max Hanscom, Max Rogers, Walker Frankenberg, a couple more that I'm struggling to see right now.
You're just in the midst of the excitement, Mike. And, you know,
I'm like using this as an opportunity to center myself a little bit, Theo.
I
Trying
hear
to
you.
calm my heart down a little bit. As the pull goes up,
Bololo centers to Roberts here. This is universe point, folks. A ticket to the national final on the line. More.
matchup backhand look. Oklahoma Christian goes with their side stack, and they're already past midfield.
Hamilton. It's going to go around. High throw. Lobolo comes down with it. What a snag on the doorstep of a finals berth here. And Roberts going up line gets nudged by, look like, LaValle, and there's going to be a call.
It did look like LaValle fouled him there, and honestly, a pretty savvy foul. He would look to be beat up line, but making that contact forces him into calling the foul, which stops the flow. Oklahoma Christian 5 yards to go for a return trip to the national championship game.
Lobolo goes around to Roberts. The Eagles are so close, they can taste it here. Roberts finds Hamilton. Hamilton trying to initiate Roberts here. Now Moore getting the action. Close layout. And there it is. Hamilton gets the score. Oklahoma Christian does it, folks. They're headed back to the national final. They win 14-13. Mike, catch your breath. That was a game.
Margins as tight as they could be on that final possession for Oklahoma Christian. Jamming it up that backhand sideline. Middlebury had multiple chances at it, multiple bids that came up just short. Emmanuel Bololo with the huge grab to save possession on the floating pass from Hamilton. I mean, my goodness, it's hard to ask for a much more exciting point than that. And it's Hamilton who catches the final one. Oh my goodness, my heart is pounding so hard right now. We could not have asked for a better game.
Mike, I just showed Mike here. My heart rate's at 118 right now on my smartwatch. That's how exciting this game was. Middlebury, nothing to hang your heads about. You put in a fight there. You got the crowd. You're the people's team, as we mentioned. And now Oklahoma Christian in the final against St. Olaf tomorrow. So that's going to be exciting. Make sure you tune in for that on Ulti World as well.
Yeah, we know from the other semifinals, St. Olaf beat Berry 15-11. So now we get a matchup between St. Olaf and Oklahoma Christian tomorrow. But my goodness, this game is one of the best games that we've ever had the pleasure not only of seeing, but definitely of streaming at D3 Nationals. I mean, you set up for these games. You have the stadium environment, the stadium field. The cameras are rolling. You hope for the best game possible, and both of these teams delivered with everybody making great plays, everybody executing at the highest level, both teams stepping up offensively, defensively. I mean, thank you to these teams both for giving us that game, because my goodness, what a performance from them both.
As we take a look at the bracket here, this is how it shapes up. We got the finals tomorrow. Mike, I'm not going to ask you to make a prediction on the broadcast here because you're still just trying to catch your breath.
Sure.
Maybe just give the audience a little bit about both teams as we think about the final for tomorrow.
Yeah, we see St. Olaf, they've been dominant all weekend. I mean, their closest game came in pool play. It was 15-13 against a solid Oberlin team, but they have ran through the bracket so far. They dismantled Scranton this morning and beat Berry soundly 15-11 in their semifinal. They're a big athletic team that have multiple defenders that they're going to be able to throw at Costello and more. And then Oklahoma Christian, we just saw them, right? We saw that their top-end talent is as good as it gets, right? They're as good as anybody in the country, and their depth has shown up a lot more this weekend than they did in the fall. Their depth has played a much more crucial part. We saw contributions from up and down their roster. It's going to be another high-flying, athletic, physical game tomorrow in the final, just like the one we saw here today. It should be a really exciting matchup.
Their resilience, too, I would say, especially like in that first half when they went down with that, trying to go with that kill line look, and it didn't kind of pan out for them, but they're able to push through, and very impressed with OC as well as Middlebury. Just want to give a shout out to the fans who are watching, and I'm sure they're going to rewatch this broadcast, maybe hear themselves chanting a little bit too. Want to give a shout out to our production team as well for producing this game, bringing you the action, multiple camera looks, just a lot of good stuff right there. So, Mike, take a breath down because you got women's semifinals still to commentate. I'm off, but you got more action.
Well, I want to take, before we leave this broadcast, I want to take a moment to shout out the Middlebury senior class. These seniors, this group that they have in their 4 years of playing, yes, they lost one season because of the pandemic, but they have won a national championship and made it to the semifinals 2 other times, finishing as the runner-up in the fall. They're about as successful a group as it gets. Walker Frankenberg, Leo Silva Fernandez, lots of other players, Ben Morris, Jack Landrigan, Aiden Masters, Josh Simspayers. They are one of the most accomplished classes that we have seen in the division, and just want to tip their cap to them in the way that they've carried themselves across their career, and we look forward to seeing where else they play in the future. Hats off to them and their accomplished careers.
And as we look back at some of the highlights, we're going to look at Costello making some plays here for OC. He was someone you mentioned at the top, Mike, and we're seeing it here, making some big plays for the OC Eagles in this contest.
Yeah, in D3, you often see handlers as the focal point, right? Because they get high usage, high touches, heavily involved. Not many teams have a star player in the cutter role, but Jonathan Costello is as good as it gets as a cutter. You'll see in these plays, there's a good variety here of, yes, being big and athletic and coming down with contested catches, but then also just having a feel for timing and for space and knowing when to be where and knowing when to cut to the break side, when to cut deep, when to cut to the force side. He's as good as it gets in the division as a cutter, and he's going to play a big role if they're going to win the championship tomorrow.
Yeah, I, for one, am very excited for that final, but now let's kind of maybe shift a little bit of focus because we have women's semifinal action as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. We've got Carleton Eclipse going up against Wellesley, who make a surprise appearance in the semifinal after upsetting Portland. We have that game in 25 minutes, so take a break, everybody. Go grab some dinner, grab a bite, rest up, but then get back to your screens and tune in. We've got a more exciting action for you later on tonight here on the Ulti World YouTube channel from D3 Nationals in Milwaukee.
We're going to take a look at some of the highlights here. Mike, this is one of the greatest games I've ever called. I'm going to say that to you. I think you would agree here, and we're seeing some of the highlights. Elliot Moore with the sky, and just a lot of big plays here from both teams. Rogers getting fired up for Middlebury. Some kind of a backflip there, but this was just full of action, and as you mentioned, a highlight reel could be made of all these plays.
Yeah, no team was ever up by more than one break in this game, and it was tightly contested throughout. Tons of pressure, tons of high-intensity moments, and everybody stepping up. You saw some shots in there of the crowd. You saw some shots in there of Middlebury players dancing and living it up. And, you know, we talked earlier about these are the moments that these players work for and live for, and these are the moments they're going to look back on and cherish for the rest of their ultimate careers. You see right there the huge block from Kamari ended up being the deciding factor in this game.
Yeah, Oklahoma Christian pulling it off. The 6th seed does it, but as we talked about, Mike, they're not a true 6th seed here by virtue of just losing that or not doing well in the region, having to be seated lower than someone who won the regional final. So 14-13 is your final score here. Theo Wan, Mike Ball, for Mike Ball, thank you for joining us here. Come back in 25 minutes for the women's semifinal.